Okay, so for those of you who missed the end of the last video, the answer was at the bottom of the page and will be in the picture that's posted. I did want to go back and to talk about doing the opposite. So going back to our lovely mole map as we talked about before, we have our question, how many moles this time? And they have given us the formula units. So this is our known. Okay. And this time they want to know the number. The number of moles. So we're going to go to our mole map. Our known this time was the number of representative particles, because formula units is considered a representative particle. And we are going all the way to unknown. And again, we're going to need that path B all over again. B is one of my favorite paths because it doesn't require a whole lot of math. All you got to do is make sure that you're looking at the very bottom of the page, and or rather that you've memorized the bottom of the page and that you can fill in your mole map. So let's set this up. Our known our unknown is the number of moles. I like to mark this with colors every time, just to make it easy for us to follow. And I actually didn't finish labeling. Our plan here is we're going to start with representative particles. We're going to need to take path B to get to the number of moles. And we know that that path is our orange path. We know that that looks like 6.02 times 10 to the 23rd representative particles of X is equal to 1 mole of X. And again, some of you are like, how do I know that? Because I'm looking at the mole map. Changing some things over. 6.02 times 10 to the 23rd formula units of PbCO3 close parentheses 2 is equal to 1 mole of PbCO3 close parentheses 2, and that is our V. Conversion factor. Okay, and then we're going to create our dimensional analysis setup. Every single time, I want you to think, what goes first? Pause, write it down, and then when you're ready, start again. Our known goes first. It's important that you pause and that you actually try to give it a guess, because you're practicing what's going to happen on the actual test. And see, this is what I was talking about, where we went out of space. And I know I'm using pen. You cannot. The main reason I use pen is because pencil can sometimes be very hard to pick up on video recordings. Our next section is going to be our B section. and formula units is at the top. We need formula units at the bottom. These guys here are going to cancel. And it's times 1, so I just didn't rewrite that part. Now this is the part that's the most important part. You have to think, okay? The reason you have to think is because if you do something wrong with your calculator, you need to be able to catch it. So you're about to put this stuff in your calculator. You have a number that's 10 to the 29th being divided by a number that's 10 to the 23rd. You should kind of have an idea that your number should wind up somewhere around 10 to the 5th, 10 to the 6th, depending on these numbers. If you wind up with a number that does not look like that, then you know you've done something wrong, and you need to look at the order in which you put things in your calculator. But if you blindly just put them in and just assume your calculator is going to give you the right answer, then you'll wind up with wrong answers on the test. Again, these both have orders of times 10 to the 29th, so I would put them in parentheses. So and the reason it's taking me so long to enter these things is I'm using a calculator that I don't normally use. If you get in the habit of using the same calculator for your homework and your practice, it just makes things a lot easier when times to come to get to your test, because you know how you whether you got the right answer. So the answer that my calculator gave me looks like this. And that looks about right, because 10 to the 6 is about 1,000,000. That's a little bit over 1,000,000. We're in the right track. So let's put this in scientific notation. Then we're going to, is it 10 to the 6? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It was. Now we're going to talk about sig figs. So this had 4 significant figures. This had 3. So we want to have about 3. So we're looking at these here. Looking at this last digit. I don't need to round up. Oh, how many moles was the question? There are that many moles of PP. All right, and that is my final answer.